Hey guys, how's it going? So, back here with Khabib versus Bob, last round of this. We're going to talk about the kind of the ending of the match, how Khabib finishes this pass here, and then how he works on his finish with an Ultra Kimura, which very interesting finish. So we'll take a look as he continues here. He's just got great body position. He's going to swing right over to mount, which is beautiful mount sequence. Something that I would like to work on actually personally, because this is just awesome. I've seen it a couple times happen in the UFC, and I think it's a hard thing to know when you can break this rule. And I think this is a good example of when it's completely appropriate to break the rule. The rule is that let's say you're in side control. When are you allowed to just step over into mount? You know, I mean, most of the time we're taught to slide our knee across the belt line and then move into mount. Khabib does not do that here, but yet he's completely successful, right? So we see his body position here. He is not going to slide his knee over to mount. Instead, he's just going to throw his leg over. And the reason why this works is because of the hip position. So you can see how the opponent's hips, right here's a leg, right here's a leg, and the angle of opening for the hips right here is like this, right? So we have our angle here, and that angle pointing downwards this way means that there is no upward facing hip angle with possible entanglements into half guard that come along with it, right? So when the legs are facing down, there's no half guard entanglement that can happen from swinging your legs over the top, right? So it seems kind of like a very basic point to make. However, most of the time when you're in side control and you're kind of trying to move towards mount, you're not really thinking about as much about your opponent's hip positioning or hip angle as much as you're thinking about how not to get your leg trapped, right? So this kind of reorients that conversation. Instead of talking about do I think it's likely that my leg gets trapped when I throw over, or how can I protect my leg and slide it across? Instead, just try to manipulate your opponent's hip angle, and then you can swing your leg over however you want to, right? So, for example, just as a quick example of this, I will oftentimes grab the outside of my opponent's legs, swing both knees to the floor towards me, and then just swing my leg over the top. This is basically manufacturing this kind of a hip angle, right? So if you can manufacture this hip angle and then throw your leg over, that's great. The important thing that I would like to work on personally is when I can just find this hip angle out in the open and just swing my leg over automatically as a reaction, right? So I think that's also a very interesting thing to do. So you can force this hip angle, manufacture it yourself, or you can find it out in the open. Khabib finds it out in the open here, does a good job of going straight for the mount. So we'll take a look at how this works out one more time. Just swings his leg right over. Beautiful mount. Now he's going to be on top. So here, swings himself back over to knee ride because he doesn't like how his opponent's defending that position. And then now he's going to kind of keep his opponent down with a strong overhook and then look for a knee ride. This is a combination that I like as well. The overhook's great for holding people down. It can allow them to get up the front headlock, but then you have a chance to swing around the back and take their back, right? The other thing is that you can go straight here to the knee ride, and when you go to the knee ride like this, especially with an overhook, there's no chance of your back being taken because of the leg positioning, but you also get to hold somebody down even though they have an underhook, and a lot of times people get conned into believing this underhook is somehow good for them, right? So then they will just sit there with this underhook that's actually a bit worthless because of the leg positioning, right? This leg basically nullifies the validity of their underhook, but sometimes they'll just put a lot of time and energy into keeping that underhook because, you know, underhooks feel good to have. So as we continue through here, we're actually going to skip ahead a little bit towards the end so that we can capture the finish. So we have Khabib in side control again. He's going to look for that Kimura, and then he's going to come over here for the Ultra Kimura. So we'll rewind just for a second so that we can see how he flips himself over. Here he gets a standard Kimura grip. There's two options. One, like he did in the Michael Johnson fight, where he threw his leg over the head. So you can throw his leg over the head here and then finish standard from side control. This time he decides to walk the leg up a little bit higher, throw the other leg over so he can finish with the Ultra Kimura. So we'll take a look at how that works out here again. Oops, sorry for the drawing. So we're going to take that leg, gets flipped over, and he's going to land his back on the floor, and he's going to have two legs, one over the head, beautiful placement, and then one right here over the head, and then one over the low back, which is also a really good placement. You don't want it to creep up too high towards the head, because then the person can back out this way, turn it into an omoplata, and then do a forward roll. And you know, that's a very easy escape sequence. So you want to have low over the low back, because when over the low back, there's no omoplata roll out of it. And then he gets the finish right here. So very beautiful technique.